Hello Sharks, I am Jonathan Little for PokerCoaching.com, here today discussing the most recent High Stakes Duel heads-up match between Phil Hellmuth and Daniel Negreanu. If you all have been paying attention on my YouTube channel here, you know that Phil Hellmuth won the first round, and I'm about to spoil who won the second one, so if you don't know who won the second one, you might want to go away. But you can watch the entire match right now at PokerGo.com. It was a great match, it was not nearly as long as the first one. And it was a real treat. It is a real treat to be able to watch these two icons of poker battling it out. So after the first round, Phil Hellmuth came on my YouTube channel and in an interview basically said that he felt disrespected by Daniel, disrespected by the rest of the poker world, and he doesn't know what he has to do to prove himself as one of the greatest poker players ever. Look at him right now here. He's like, what do I got to do, Daniel? What do I got to do? And you can't make everyone happy, Phil. But he shows up, he continues playing his patented Phil Hellmuth white magic strategy, and well, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Daniel Negreanu, he's been on a bit of a downswing in these heads-up matches. He lost to Phil Hellmuth last time, he lost to Doug Polk. He's trying to put a win together here, and he seems to just not be able to do it. And in the second match, spoiler alert, he lost. He lost again to Phil Hellmuth. Phil Hellmuth is 2-0 against Daniel Negreanu. Also, Phil Hellmuth beat Antonio Esfandiari 3-0. So, I mean, is he just like the heads-up master at live poker? Somehow, it seems like he just keeps winning. In this match, Daniel Negreanu got off to the lead in the deep stack portion again, just like in the first round. And instead of continuing to play kind of weak, passive, straightforward, like Phil did in the first match, he decided to do the exact opposite this time. He got steamed up. He went zoom, zoom, Phil Hellmuth. There were two hands back-to-back that we're going to discuss here on my YouTube channel where, you know, Phil kind of either, in my opinion, misplayed the hand. We'll talk about that in just a second. Or he just got unlucky. And that got him steamed up. He went insane, and he completely ran over Daniel Negreanu. Daniel was not expecting Phil to just go bonkers. Or, to be fair, maybe he was, but Daniel just didn't have the cards to do anything about it. Daniel was sitting there like queen high every time, and what can you do with queen high when the guy's re-raising, check-raising, etc., etc. And that resulted in Phil Hellmuth getting down to like a 3-1 chip disadvantage, but just running it back up. And, you know, that's how it goes sometimes when you expect your opponent to play one way and they play the exact opposite. I interviewed Daniel Negreanu here on my YouTube channel, and he basically said he expects Phil to just play his kind of cautious style where he does not put a lot of money in the pot without the nuts. But turns out Hellmuth did the exact opposite a lot. And to be fair, Hellmuth probably got a little bit lucky that Negreanu never had anything. But if you happen to get a good run of cards where, well, your opponent has a bad run of cards, you can run him over. Huge thanks to both of those world-class poker icons, by the way, for being on my YouTube channel. I highly appreciate it. If you all like that, do me a quick favor. Click the like and subscribe button below. Also, click the notification bell. We are at 90,000 subscribers on YouTube. That is a lot of sharks out there. And whenever we get to 100,000, we're going to be doing a few things very special for all of you. So make sure you stay tuned, check out the content we continue putting out, and make sure you click the notification bell so that you are aware of everything we have going on. All right, let's take a look at one of the hands that I think got Phil Hellmuth steamed up a little bit that resulted in him going into zoom zoom mode. In this hand, Daniel Negreanu raises from the small blind. Phil Hellmuth calls the king 2 offsuit in the big blind, playing 100 big blinds deep. Perfectly fine, perfectly standard. You could bluff this every once in a while if you felt like it, but I like the call. Flop comes ace, 6, 4, 2 diamonds. Phil Hellmuth has the 2 of diamonds, so not too much. Goes check, check on the flop. Fine. Turn is the jack of diamonds, giving Hellmuth a bad flush draw on king high. He checks with his, weak marginal made hand. And Negreanu bets half pot. This is a tough spot, but in general, if you want to develop general rules, which is often a bit of a mistake in poker because there are a lot of exceptions, but in general, whenever you have something that could be the best hand, and when it's not the best hand, it could be the best draw, you should usually stick around. Now look, I realize king high is not great. I also realize the 2 of diamonds is not great, but is it going to realize 25% equity? Probably. So I like sticking around here. Then the river comes the king of hearts. Now, what I want all of you to do is I want you to pause the video and write in the comment section below what you would do in this spot when you river second pair. After it goes check, check on the flop, check, bet, call on the turn, okay? Pause the video and write what you would do below. In this scenario, would you check? Would you bet small like 6,000? Not small like 6,000, what am I saying? Would you bet small like 2,000 into the 6,000 pot? Would you bet medium like 4,000 into the 6,000 pot? Or would you bet big like 6,000 into the 6,000 pot? Pause the video and write what you would do in the comment section below. All right, this is a spot that is, in my mind, a very, 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 very easy check. I have a quiz available for you. It's completely free. Go take it at pokercoaching.com/fundamentals quiz. I'll put a link in the comment section below. This is a common spot where you have what is a very, very clear marginal made hand. If a little bit of money goes in this pot, you're pretty happy. If a lot of money goes in this pot, though, you are not happy. So you really want to minimize the size of the pot. Also, if your opponent was bluffing the turn with queen high, 10 high, open-ended straight draws, bad flush draws, whatever, you really want to check and give them a chance to bet because you have a very, very easy check call with this hand. Also, if you bet, sometimes you're going to get raised, which is a disaster because now we took this hand that could very profitably check call and induce bluffs from an opponent who presumably has some bluffs in their range, right? Negreanu knows how to bluff. And you make this into like a really weak bluff catcher. So let's see what Hellmuth does. He does go for the White Magic Live Pro bet. He bets 1,500 into the 6,000 pot. Remember, let's just replay this hand really quick. Raise pre-flop call, check, check flop, check, bet, call. Negreanu leads. After this hand, Hellmuth actually said, I thought there was no way you had an ace in this spot because you checked behind on the flop. But remember, Negreanu is a world-class professional, and world-class professionals know you gotta mix it up every once in a while, especially with your strong but non-nut hands like top pair bad kicker. Imagine Negreanu did have an ace here. If he had a good ace, he would bet the flop, but what if he has like ace 2, right? Ace 2 is a hand that you can easily check behind the flop, call any turn bet if your opponent bets, and call any river bet if your opponent bets. And that way, whenever it goes check, check, your opponent can't immediately narrow your range to a hand worse than an ace. Because if you let it go check, check with only hands worse than an ace, all your opponent really has to do to beat you is just blast the turn and blast the river, and you're going to fold almost everything. But Negreanu knows that that's not how you want to structure a fundamentally sound range, so he's going to check some aces here. You have to be really careful against strong players with narrowing their range too much. A lot of people, especially who come from small stakes games against really, really weak, tight, straightforward players, essentially think that they know how their opponent is going to play in all spots. And that's just not true. People are going to surprise you. They're going to turn up with some hands that you would not expect. And if you think you know something about your opponent, but you're just wrong, well, then you're going to be torching your money. Anyway, this is a pretty easy check call here. So he bets 1,500, and now Negreanu pulls out the raise. This is the spot you do not want to be in. This is the spot you will not face all that often against weak, straightforward players unless they have the nuts. But remember, Negreanu's not a weak, straightforward player. Negreanu will get in there and bluff. And this is a tough spot because when Hellmuth bets small on the river, to some extent, he is announcing that he has a thin-ish value hand. Because, at least from a GTO point of view, which maybe Hellmuth is using, maybe not, we'll see. From a GTO point of view, you want to be betting small with your thin-ish value hands that perhaps don't necessarily want to check and call a giant bet, but also don't want to check fold. But again, this is just not a spot to lead. You want to lead whenever you increase your equity / EV. And in a scenario where Negreanu just has a lot of ace X, you just can't lead very often here at all, if ever. Anyway, he bets and gets raised. So what does he do now? Now he's stuck in this weird bluff catching spot where I'm sure there is a right play based on exactly what Negreanu's range and strategy is. I have to imagine Negreanu's probably either drastically over bluffing here or drastically under bluffing here, one of the two. I don't know which one it is because, I don't know what Daniel Negreanu's doing. But if he thinks Hellmuth is going to lead here with very clear, thin-ish value hands, and then he puts in a raise that is not all that big, I would venture to say he's probably highly tilted towards value. So what value hands would he raise here? Would he raise a good ace? Yeah, but, like Hellmuth said, he probably doesn't have all that many good aces because he bet those on the flop. He would definitely raise with stuff like 2-pair. He could easily have King Jack. He could easily have Queen 10. He could easily have King 6, King 4, right? He could easily have those hands. Obviously, Hellmuth blocks those a bit. Would he raise with Ace X, like Ace 2? that's where you have to ask, does Negreanu think Hellmuth's range is that face up, where he's leading with very clear marginal made hands, which are going to be something like a king or a jack, or probably just mostly a king or a jack, to the point that you can thin value raise a bad ace. That starts to get back into that territory where, does Negreanu really know what Hellmuth's doing? I don't know. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. But anyway, in this spot, I don't think there's a way for me to say, like, yeah, it's an easy call or an easy fold. I would venture to say, whenever I'm in this spot, if I happen to make this play in Hellmuth's shoes, when Negreanu does not go for that big of a raise, it's probably a spot where you want to fold, and when he goes for a big raise, you probably want to lean towards calling, but I don't know. Phil Hellmuth has the white magic, though. And if you've watched a few of my previous videos here at youtube.com/pokercoaching, you know that Phil Hellmuth's white magic has mostly been right. He seems to be able to summon all of the poker skills, all of the poker knowledge of all of the greats that have ever existed in the poker world. He summons it right now. What do I do with this bluff catcher? Do I call or do I fold? This time, he summons a call, and the legends of the past, present, and future have failed Phil Hellmuth, because Daniel Negreanu went for the value raise with the ace-5. Thin value, and he got paid. Very, very nice raise by Daniel Negreanu. I think it's actually a pretty great play. Phil Hellmuth actually said after this hand, that was a great raise. I think he was actually pretty impressed by this raise. And I think he was kind of annoyed at himself for, betting the river and then calling the raise, right? And this got Phil a little bit steamed up. And we're going to be talking about a few of the hands where he got a little bit steamed up and then started running lots and lots of bluffs that worked amazingly well in the future here on my YouTube channel. Make sure you click the like, subscribe buttons, and the notification bell. So, that's going to be it for today. Phil Hellmuth, he's steamed up, he's primed, he's ready to go into zoom mode. I'm excited for next time. Good luck in your games. Thank you very much for being here. Have fun, and I'll talk to you next time. What's big, green, and gives you the freedom to do whatever you want? Yeah, it's money. And if you want to start your journey to a big pile of money, click the subscribe button right over here. See you in the next video.